Alex Karras is the worst NFL TV announcer of all time that was or would become a Hall of Fame player. His performances were perpetually laughable in a bad way. Quite simply, he tried too hard to be too funny and just wasn't.
Wasn't that a face mask there, Alex?
Yeah, but that doesn't count, Howard, not if you're a defensive ball player. Well, there, ladies and gentlemen, is Too Tall Jones. 12'8", 8,621 pounds, and breathes fire.
And with us again at halftime is our new colleague, number 71 of the Detroit Lions, Alex Karras. And I must say, Alex, you should be happy with this jacket. It's closer to a fit.
No, it's not. It's even worse than it was last week. This is Roone Arledge's coat. It's a size 44 with 3-inch sleeves, for crying out loud. I didn't know the man was deformed.
In 1957, Karras was the Outland Award winner as college football's best lineman. He finished in second place for the Heisman Trophy as a defensive tackle. For a variety of adverse reasons, he was kicked out of Iowa football's team 7 times. In 1956, he had a physical confrontation with the coach, didn't play in the last game of the season, threw a shoe at the coach, and quit the team. Despite his antics, he was selected in the first round of the 1958 NFL Draft by the Lions, fresh off their 1957 NFL title-winning season. On December 13, 1957, he had signed a professional wrestling contract for $25,000 that covered 6 months of work, even though he hadn't even wrestled at Iowa. He made more money in 1958 wrestling than he did playing football. With his additional earnings from wrestling, Karras bought a bar and it became a betting joint that was frequented by criminals. The NFL cracked down on Karras, who confessed to betting, but not on his own team. For the entirety of the 1963 NFL season, he, along with Packers star Paul Hornung, was suspended for alleged involvement in sports betting and association with criminals.
Of course, you talked about Al Davis doing things and took a lot of ball players, and especially the kind of situation. Here's Ron Smith, who does nothing but run that ball back now and does a good job.
I can't get over that speed run. I saw one like it last year, Earl Morrow for Miami. Against the Jets.
Better take him out of the ball game and let him have recitation. Recitation. What is that on the sidelines?
Resuscitation.
Thank you very much.
Would you have called that play, Alex?
Well, I don't know. I'm a little bored right now, Howard.
I like the fact that Jimmy Harris threw the football.
Yeah, right. He could have sat on the ball and made it a much duller game than it is.
There's no doubt about it. Karras could be as crass as this man in this 1974 advertisement.
This is Don Rickles. Open this door.
This yo-yo's going to wish he was still a mail boy.
Listen, pal, your right gut antiperspirant is wrecking my act.
Everyone knows I make a living insulting people. I make them sweat. But this hockey puck helps keep him dry with his right guard. With his super dry anti-stain formula. Right guard protects people from me.
Open up, you dummy.
I bet he sits there all day with his right guard going.
As a 28-year-old in 1963, Karras continued wrestling professionally, and in Minneapolis one night, he was a tag team partner of his childhood idol, Bronco Nagurski, who was 54 years old. Nagurski was a Hall of Fame running back legend who played pro ball with the Chicago Bears for 9 years. He'd wrestle from January through July, then play pro football from September through December. He wrestled professionally for around 30 years. Alex Karras made the Pro Football Hall of Fame, almost 50 years after he played his last NFL game. He joined ABC's Monday Night Football announcing booth in 1974, and for 3 seasons he provided a host of cringe-worthy game analysis and antics. The December 26, 1970 NFC Divisional Playoff game at Dallas was Karras' final NFL game. He made first-team All-Pro 3 times and second-team All-Pro 5 times. His 100 career quarterback sacks are incredible for a defensive tackle, especially when considering he played 3 12-game seasons and 9 14-game seasons in a run-dominated NFL era.
Of course, the Lions, with their great rushing defense, have limited 9 of 14 foes to less than 100 yards a game rushing.
You're looking at big number 71. That, of course, is Alex Karras. Number 20 is Lem Barney. Interesting thing about the Detroit Lions, their two cornerbacks, Dick LeBeau, number 44, Lem Barney, number 20, had 16 interceptions between them. That's almost unheard of. Cornerbacks are not supposed to pick up those kind of interceptions. That's sort of for the free safeties, but it'll give you an idea of what pressure that front four puts on a passer that he throws the ball up where those cornerbacks can pick it off.
There's no question that these teams hate each other. Now watch Charlie Smith get a nice little popper. Number 85. Watch him give a little pop. Left of your screen. Watch it now. Wacko! Let's get it one more time. I love this. This is football, folks. Wacko.
Yeah, I was going to tell you that, Frank. Snow didn't even look at the ball right now. He's looking at the linebacker who's coming over with him. Is that no, it's the back, and he's a little scared, a little leery of that linebacker.
I'll tell you, that's Willie Harper, and Jack, I think, is more concerned with Willie Harper than he was with that ball. Hi, guys.
They almost kissed.
Yeah, I like the help he got from number 30, Joe Lavender, cornerback, who incidentally is the only man in the NFL, gentlemen, who plays while wearing eyeglasses. What do you think of that, Kip?
Well, you can't see, you can't see. A lot of them do wear contacts, some of them just uncomfortable with them.
Does he have him in the helmet or around the helmet?
There, you know, right under that face mask.
You know, it's tough when you're playing defense and you're going into the last half and you play, you know, as good as you can play and you get no offense at all. Defensive ball players get a little upset about it. Once in a while, they'll run over the quarterback and say, "How much is a touchdown?" You know, they figure maybe they don't know anymore. In our case, our quarterback used to yell out, 5 point.
And in defense of Mel Renfro, he's been playing on an injured ankle. He was out for several weeks, came back last week against Cleveland. He had to because the Cowboys only have 5 defensive backs. There he is.
And we just showed you a picture, Frank, of Art Toms on the sidelines. He wasn't wearing a girdle. That wasn't a girdle he had on. He had some bad ribs, and they were protecting his ribs. For you girls out there, I thought maybe you didn't know that.
All right, second down.
Rams take over 1st and 10. They move from their own 20. Quick handoff there to Lawrence McCutcheon. I called him Larry at the top of the show. His brother wouldn't like that because Lawrence's brother is Larry.
Well, I thought Larry should be Lawrence. I don't understand that.
Here comes the messenger man, Gene Fugit, with the play from head coach Tom Landry.
Cowboys head coach Tom Landry had called the offensive plays every single season since 1960. So Alex Karras should have known that by 1974, the quarterbacks were not calling the plays. Yet he said this.
And Alex, defensively, what does this mean to a defensive lineman? Now you've got this Dallas Cowboy team in a hole.
Well, you're definitely going to play the run. You're not going to take a chance. I don't think Staubach is the kind of guy that's going to take a chance on the pass.
Former Cowboys quarterback Don Meredith was nicknamed Dandy for his lightheartedness and folksy demeanor. He was a color commentator for ABC's Monday Night Football from 1971 through 1973, and the show became immensely popular. It became must-see TV. Dandy Don left ABC in 1974, however, in order to further his acting and announcing career with NBC. Monday Night Football hired former Kansas City Chief defensive back Fred Williamson to take his place. Nicknamed Hammer, he utilized a tackling technique that stopped ball carriers in their tracks with a clubbing rap alongside their helmets. The technique was called the Hammer, and he broke a few helmets with it. Prior to Super Bowl I against the Packers, he threatened to break some more. He didn't break any, and instead was wheeled off the field after being knocked out after his helmet met Packers running back Donnie Anderson's knee. ABC's Monday Night Football hired Williamson to replace Meredith, and at the introductory press conference, Williams stated that he was hired to, quote, bring some color to the booth. The results were not the case, as he offered little to say, and when he did, it was of little relevance. On this play, it seems that Karras had strangely not heard of offsetting penalties before.
The left end, number 27, was in motion. He shouldn't have. He took a step up. He shouldn't have. He just should have held his ground, and he took a step up. I think that's what.
What is this?
Replay, fourth down, apparently offsetting calls.
I've never heard of that before.
We'll try and tell you what is offsetting.
You're 1 for 1, Alex.
Quickly, let's bring in Mongo, our colleague, to discuss the defenses. Whom will you be looking at tonight?
Well, both. I think that the LA Rams really have a fine front four defensively, and San Francisco, Howard, they're really debatable, you know. And the problem is that they have a front four who's been together for quite a while, but I don't know. They're all starting to act like matadors out there. You know, they're not making any tackles. They're just letting the halfbacks go through them. And you can't do that in the national.
Can you do that move one more time?
It's something like this. But I can't understand them. They have really broken down over there.
Howard Cosell introduced Karras as Mongo in that clip, which was the character that Karras portrayed in the 1974 movie Blazing Saddles. In that movie, Mongo is an unintelligent creature with superhuman strength. In one scene, he punched a horse and caused it to collapse. He played Lyle, a Marine, in a 1974 MASH TV episode and played many other characters in movies and TV shows. As highly questionable as Karras' NFL game announcing was, ABC's Monday Night Football was a major hit, and they didn't want to tinker with it by getting rid of him despite his awful analysis and antics. I think that he really tried too hard to replace what Dandy Don Meredith brought to the announcing booth, and he just couldn't pull it off.
Karras, how many interceptions did you have in your career?
I had about 6 and I gained about 2 inches.
Quick-feeted Alex Karras. Everybody remembers him that way.
1st and 10 from his own 1. Goes to Bulash, and Bulash is nailed. Maybe gets a yard. Number 75, Jethro Pugh, is there.
75 Pugh, 74 Lilly. Lilly, 14 years. Alex, when does a guy, when does the brilliance of strength and play give way to guile and experience?
When this varicose veins start hurting him, Ron.
Gabriel with plenty of time, but good coverage prevents him from getting it away. And he's really nailed hard by number 50, D.D. Lewis, short of the first down. Not one of your speediest runners, Alex.
You know, we were talking earlier today about whether ball players talk to each other on the line of scrimmage, and you do. It depends on, you know, what the conversation might be. If you're losing, you're griping and you're moaning, and you have a tendency once in a while to even curse out there, Howard. I never did it, but they tell me that it was done.
I'd be shocked if you had been one of those.
Okay, here comes Jones, 64, coming right around his tackle. He gets the stall back that time, but the ball's been released. Watch the referee. He's saying, no. Don't you hurt that quarterback.
Last year's leading scorer in the NFL, David Ray, comes on for the conversion. David Ray will run. He's going to go all the way, folks. Now, there's an athlete. It took him 5 minutes to cut the corner.
You know, Howard, this what really gets me is these doggone punters. Now, watch this here. Here's the snap. He's going to kick it. Here goes Percy's kick. There is no one around him, and watch this act. Oh, he fell on his little pompey.
Well, one of the Niner Nuggets, the cheerleaders here, lovely ladies, most of them.
I just love those lovely ladies.
There's 2 guys that are uglier than I am, Howard.
That's arguable.